Rồi bây giờ mình đứng lên nhé. Đứng lên. Nhân danh Cha và Con và Thánh Thần. Amen. Lạy Cha chúng con. Nhân danh Cha và Con và Thánh Thần. Amen. Rồi, ngồi xuống. Lớp này là lớp mấy anh nha gì? Anh gì đó rồi? Lớp 8 trở lên hả? Ok. Lớp 8 là mấy tuổi nhỉ? Is it 8 graders? How old? 15? 14? 14. So 14. Oh, 13. So 13 up to 17? Huh? Great. Now, first of all, very happy to see you here. But I want you to do just a little work before we begin. Okay? So why don't you say 1, 2, 1, 2? Just say it. 1, 2. 1. Say it loud like a man. 1. Okay? 1. Oh, no, you are 2. 2. Say 2. I tell you this. At a certain age, we pass the age of much younger. Of course, when they're young, very young, very young. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 years old. They're very moody. They cry and laugh within like a 3 minutes difference. But when you're a little older, then you control yourself. Sometimes when you walk out on the street, you see something, but also you control it. You want to eat there, but because a lot of people look at you, don't want to take it, something like that. In other words, the older you are, the more mature you are. And the more mature, I'm talking about the behavior that you control. So, why don't you just take maybe 30 seconds, turn around and tell somebody next to you, why are you happy to be here? Not sad to be here. I know why you're sad to be here. But just talk to somebody, why you're happy to be here. Give 1 reason, 2 reasons. I'm happy to be here because, say it. Talk to them. Okay, so who was in the 8th grade? Raise your hands. 8. High. Okay, it was quite a lot, huh? Probably the majority of you. Okay, put your hands down. 9th. High. It was not that many. Okay, put your hands down. 10th. Oh, the very few. And then the rest, huh? Wow, so majority of you are in the 8th grade now, huh? Great. Do you know, many of you know each other? Good. So, let me share with you within an hour why we are here and what we are doing here now. Look at the word I put it there. Where is the newborn king? And if you follow these magi, they're from where? Remember? Okay, so why don't I ask maybe you stand up next to me? Here's the microphone, stand here. What's your name? Jessica, could you read up there for us? Read it loud so everybody can hear and know the story. Okay, read it.
Matthew 2, 1 to 11. Okay. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have to come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They saw a child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. And they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Great. See? Thank you. The story is very simple. Where's the newborn king? Who asked these the questions? The Magi. Who are they? They're not Jews. They come from afar. According to the gospel, they come from the east. Here's a few things I want to share with you. Let me ask you, why do you go to school? Give me one reason why you go to school. I suppose that all of you go into school right now, right? Okay, so why? And of course, when you answer why, the answer is, it begins with because, okay? So why are you going to school? Because? So you have no reason to go then. Let me ask you, why are you going to school? Because he can get the degree. And that's the only reason? Huh? And then you have a job. So what if I give you $100 million if you win the lottery? Then you don't need a job. Do you go to school? You see my question? Because he said that he goes to school so he can get the degree and a job. And what if he bought the lottery and he win $100 million? That's more than jobs of his whole life. In that case, do you still go to school? Why? See? Because you can get your education. That's a very different answer right there. Give me one right reason why are you going to school. To learn. To learn what? Something. A lot of things, but to learn what? A life skill? Good. Last question. Why are you going to school? One reason. Get education. Education is a very general term, but more specific, if possible. Help her. Why are you going to school?
To be happy.
To be happy. That's a very theological and philosophical right here. Wow, very deep. Give him, what's your name?
Trường.
Huh?
Trường.
Trường? Huh? Trường. Okay, give, is it Trường, right?
Yes.
Okay, give Hương a big hand. Now, I know that you are very smart. That's why I treat you as smart people. The reason we go to school, not just only to get the degree and job and money, but to be happy. Because we want to search for happiness. And to search for happiness, in our belief, is to search for the truth, for God. Because a lot of rich people, they're not happy. But sometimes the poor people, they're very happy. Imagine, do you have your grandparents with you here in the country? No? So where's your grandparents? In Vietnam. Have you met them? Okay. What do you think, if you give them a gift now, what do you think is the best gift that they want? Visit them. Why? It's more than money. Why don't, if you give them a car or something that they don't feel that is, they don't really need it, but why your visitation, why your visit makes them happy? Why? Because they haven't seen you, and their love, their happiness is to be connected with their relatives. Now, the reason I want to put up the word, where is the newborn king? Because of these people like me, like you, we are looking for something in life. And that's what you are doing right now. And that is what các thầy, các cô, các cha, and myself help you to do. Because of these people going to find Christ. Where's the newborn king? Where is the truth? Where is happiness? And sometimes if nobody directs us, no one helps us, we think that happiness ends up in money, in fame. But and then if, like what's your name? Huh? Annie. If Annie asks her grandparents, then they will not say that's money at all. Some of you, I guarantee you, some of you on Mother's Day, Father's Day, sometimes you walk up to your mom and dad said, I want to give you a gift. What do you like? Simply they said, go to church, study well. They don't need anything. You think that you give them $1 million that they're happy? Probably not. But what they want is for you, of course, but that makes them happy. If you want to give me a gift on Mother's Day, then why don't you go to Mass, pray for me? Why don't you study and get good grade? That's all. The point I want to make is this. We all in the same boat, and we are looking for something. The question is, where is the newborn king? Where is happiness? Where is Christ? Where is the truth that we are looking for? So, let me just follow the reading that Jessica just read. And I share with you a few things. One, these people go together. These people go together. You cannot find happiness by yourself. You cannot sit in your room and you think that something satisfies you, make you pleasure, means give you the substantial happiness. No. I want you to bond yourself here. If you're in the class, I hope that you stand together, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th graders, if you can work together. Because the friendship is so important. I know the peer pressure out there. I know it well. Because I'm also teaching at the school too. So students under a lot of pressure, especially peer pressure. But if we have together, let me see, what school are you going to? You. Say it out loud, yeah. I can't hear it. Can you say it out for her? Why are you so shy? You have a boyfriend yet? Okay. I don't know why. You'll be so shy. Okay, what school are you going to? Okay, good, thank you. And then, Worley Middle School. Thank you. Let me ask you, around you, do you have a friends who are also either in the same class or school with you? You look around. So you are the only one in that school right now. Is there anybody around you? Anybody from Worley? What is the school again? Oh, you're not going there. You're the same or not? Oh, the same district, but different schools. Okay, so who is at school with her? Raise your hand if you recognize the term. So nobody. Then I'm feel sorry for you. What school are you? Okay, what school are you going to? I'm too old. I have a hearing aid problem. What did she say?
Tobisky.
Huh? Tobisky. Okay, who is in Tobisky school? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Okay, only 1, 2. You at Tobisky? Are you? Please raise your hands. I asked with the purpose. Raise her up. Okay, could you stand? Do you recognize these two ladies? Raise your hands. Do you know her at all? Okay, what about this girl? Okay, here's my point. Okay, here's my point. Do you meet, do you know them in school or just only now? Okay. The point I want to make is this. When you're at the same school, have you ever support one another to do something? Very simple. I don't know. I pick one more because I don't know. How many schools are around here? I don't know. What school are you going to? Laker has Lake what? Laker? Huh? Lake Ridge. Okay, sorry. See, I have a hearing problem. Who is in Lake Ridge? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so do you recognize them? Do you play with them, or at least, here's my point. What's the name of the other boy that you were playing? Huh? Ken. Okay, Ken. I asked you, Ken, right? Do you at least sometime working together, supporting each other, doing something, lunch together? Right? Okay, okay. The next question I asked, the next question. If there's something in school, for example, if you sit down for lunch, just sit down for lunch, do you dare to make a sign of the cross together before you get lunch? That's my real question. Alone, you may be afraid. I know that. But what about two of you? Have two of you sat down? Huh? But when you sit down together, have a lunch, do you dare? Oh, not the same lunch. Okay, so forget it. My point is, if you can support one another outside of this parish, outside of this confirmation class, please bond together. Why? Because the peer pressure is very strong. But if you don't have a good friends, then bad friends will lead you down to the tube. The Magi, when they go, first of all, they go together. And I want you, don't be a loner. Don't ever be a loner. Because you still have the system here in the parish and the system in school to support you. So try to reach out. Girls, boys, try to reach out. To know somebody, so at least that when we come to school, right now in the church, I don't know that you know each other. All of you are in thiếu nhi thánh thể? No. Ở đây có thiếu nhi thánh thể không anh? Oh, không có. So sorry about that. I don't know. Okay, see, I don't know. So I asked a very innocent question. Bởi vì không có thiếu nhi thánh thể, nhiều khi nó không có sinh hoạt, nó không biết nhau được. Hả?
Có Thomas Teen. Có Thomas Teen cha.
Thomas Teen là cái gì?
Là cái youth group.
Oh, là cái youth group. Okay. Whoever in Thomas Teens, raise your hand. Great. How often you meet? How often? Once every month. Great. Try to support one another and develop this. Why? Because when you go to college, tell the truth. We parents, religious sisters, priests, we depend on you to support you guys in college level. I have seen too many students, when they leave their family behind, go to college, they drop out. No more church, no more faith. And if they don't have the safe net, kind of the safe net system to support them, if nobody is around to support them, encourage them back to church, that's it. That's the end of their own life. So please, teens, Thomas teens, at least that get together, support one another. Number two, I want you to learn from this picture too. Number two, when they leave their own life, own home, to go to Bethlehem, as we understand, it takes a lot of risks for them to do it. It takes a lot of risks for them to do it. It's not just easy to stand up and go. I know that it's too young to ask. Where were you born? Minnesota. Where's your grandparents? Because I bet with your parents now too young. You're about what, 14, 13? So your parents probably 40 years old, maybe too young. What about your grandparents? Where are your grandparents? Dad? Do you know them at all? No, hardly really know. So how's your parents got here?
They took a plane.
Huh?
They took a plane from Vietnam.
They take the what? Oh, the plane. That's a different story, because that's why those people were sponsored by. That's why I don't know. I don't want to talk about that, but I want to make something with the risk, those who come here early. Because if you don't know where you're from, if you don't know your history, you don't even have any gratitude to know those who are caring for you today. Let me ask one more person. Where's your grandparents? Do you know how they got here? Okay, have you ever talked to the both? Is your grandpa or grandma? Okay, so have you ever asked your grandpa how he gets here? Okay. One more person and last. What about you? One will be the last person. Because ignorance is a sin. And I tell you why. Is your grandparents around here?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are they?
They're in Texas.
They're in Texas. You know how they get here?
They took a boat from Vietnam all the way over here from the Vietnam War.
Okay, so at least, what's your name? Eric. Let me ask Eric a bit before, okay? Eric, tell us a little bit about your grandparents when they got here, as much as you know, okay?
Okay, so my grandpa was a general in the Vietnam War, but he took a lot of risks by fighting for our country. He lost one of his fingers, so
your grandparent was the high-rank officer. And then when we lost the war, what happened?
he went in jail.
Okay, he went to jail. And then?
So after he was free, I believe my dad went back to Vietnam.
Okay.
And picked him up.
And then what happened next?
And then they took a boat over from here to America.
Okay, actually the boat cannot go from Vietnam to America because they will be dead on the ocean. But probably they go to the nearby territory. I'm like myself, I end up in Hong Kong. Some of them go to Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, somewhere. But say they went there, and then from that they come to America. Then after they settle in America, they sponsor probably your grandma, right? And then later with your parents and now yourself. Now, thank you, Eric. And why do I ask you that question? Look at, you know what? Ignorance is a sin. Because a lot of people grow up and know nothing about ourselves or know nothing about others. They know themselves, that's it. Sometimes they waste too much time, and I give you a very simple example. Sometimes, some of you, when you eat, the food that you waste, that's much more than some families in Africa or Vietnam can feed themselves for a week. Now, because you don't care and you don't know, that's why you don't have nothing that can touch your heart or your conscience. You just don't like it, you dumped it at somewhere. Even when you drink something, half of the can, throw it away. Now, if you don't know, then of course we don't blame you. But I say ignorance is also a sin. Because if you purposely don't want to know, that's a sin. But if you don't want to know, then you need to go and search. Where is the newborn king? Where is the truth? Where is? And then you fill up the question. Where is the thing that you're looking for? Why do I ask that question? Because, like the Magi, when they left their homeland, it took a lot of risks for them to come to Bethlehem. Take a lot of risks for them to come to Bethlehem. The same thing with your grandparents. And that's, I want to connect it. I hope, and if you love me enough, I hope that you do as a homework from now until Christmas. If possible, please go home If you have a grandparents around here or your bác cậu, chú uncle, somebody around, please spend 5 minutes if possible. I ask you to spend 5 minutes to interview them, to ask them how they come to America. Because if you don't know, you act like you knew nothing. And at the end, not only you act irresponsibly, but also unacceptably. But if you know, then your behavior change simply because you know why they are here and what they expect of you. Eric, for example, just very simple, and I think the story is very much similar. I was surprised that many of you never asked your grandparents or even your parents. Of course, your parents come different way, but you need to know why, because it changed the way we think and the way we act. If possible, from now until Christmas, please spend 5 minutes. Call them, grandma, grandpa, and I hope you speak Vietnamese with them so they can understand you well. And ask them, tell me how you get here. I don't expect you to understand everything they say, but at least you know that at one point they left Vietnam by boat. I mean, myself, my story is just only 1 in 100,000 million stories. And 1 million people escaped Vietnam and died on the ocean. You heard about that, maybe. But you never thought about that much. But what if one of your relatives, what if your grandparents tell you that your uncle, your cousin, who died on the ocean? Then, my story is one of the 100,000 of them. I spent 28 days on the ocean. That's tough. I tell you, very tough. And then end up in Hong Kong for about 7 months. From there, I went to Philippines to study English. And from Philippines, I come here and settle here. And I've been here for 32 years, long enough. I think it's the same time with maybe many of your grandparents. And then, after they settle here, grandparents begin to sponsor your grandma or your parents, and that's how they got here. But never forget the risk that your grandparents or granduncles, those are great people who came here first. Why do they do that? Because they were searching for happiness. They are searching for the way that they can live their faith without any oppression or restriction. That's simple. We escape, not because we are looking for food, because in Vietnam, if you plant something, you can live. But we escape because we're looking for the way that we can live freely and we can exercise our freedom. And that is the key. So please, from now until Christmas, if possible, I ask you, make 5 minutes, make a phone call, thank them, talk to them, because sometimes you don't have a close relationship with your grandparents. But when you know their stories, then I believe you begin to change the way you behave. So number 2 is take a risk. Take a risk for them to come here. Take a risk for those members come to find Jesus. Number 3, in the reading, as Jessica read, what happened and guide them to Israel? What appears to guide them to Israel? Huh? I can't hear. What is that? Say it out loud. The star. What's it? The star. The star. The star. The star lead them to Palestine. But at one point, what happened?
I don't know.
At one point, what happened to the star?
I don't know.
Anyone knows? Yes. It disappears. Oh my God, you read the Bible and then you forget it. At one point, the star disappears. Then when the star disappears, what happened to them? 3 magi. they end up to where? This question posed, where was the newborn king? They asked it somewhere. What happened? Oh my God, sắp sửa chịu phép thêm sức rồi. So, when the star disappears, what happened next? They stop by where to ask for direction? Oh my God. So they stop by where to ask for direction? You don't know? Really don't know? They go to the palace. They met the king. They asked the king, where's the newborn king? And Herod didn't know. So Herod gathered the chief priests, those who experts. And then after consultation, they said, why don't you go? Find him. And when you find him, come back and tell me so I can go and give him homage too. And of course, he lied, if we know the story. Then these people leave the palace. And when they get out of the palace, what happened next? When they get out of the palace, and what happened next? Stop.
The star was over.
Okay, the star reappears. Oh my God. Honestly, you don't know this story or what? When you're kids, do you play those play kits at all? Like angels? No, you don't. Chắc là ở đây phải có những cái hoạt cảnh đó cho nó đóng, cho nó nhớ, chứ nó không đi học nó không nhớ gì hết trơn. Oh my Lord. Okay, so after the star disappears, they don't know where to go. They end up in the palace. Of course, come to the king because they think that the king knows the answer. They ask the king, where's the newborn king? King Herod said, oh, I don't know. So he gathered those experts. And the expert tell him the story. Maybe in Bethlehem, because this is in Bethlehem, Judea. This the expert said, They said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for this it has been written through the prophets. And you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. So when these people come and give advice to the king Herod, they think that Bethlehem will be the place. Then Herod called the Magi and tell them, go and search diligently for the child. And when you found him, go back and tell me. After their audience, after they meet with Herod, they set out, and the star they had seen at its rising preceded them, reappears. That was the story. So when they get out, they see the star again. I hope that when you go home today, please remember this story. There's the three Magi, three strangers. These people, These people are strangers. They come together, but they don't know each other. And the reason they become friends, because they have the same idea, the same goal in life, to go and search for Christ. You are strangers. Do you know him at all? You do. Do you know her? Oh, what about this girl? No, not. You will. The reason you guys don't know each other because you come from different town, different district. But because we all have a faith in Jesus Christ, because we live in the same parish, and because we have the same goal to search for Jesus Christ for our faith. So I hope that you guys will get together and like a Magi, become friends. I hope that the Thomas team will bring you together. That's the point. But point number three, I want you to remember, the reading is, when you need help, stop by and ask. I know you may have many questions. I will leave some minutes for you to ask. I know that you guys have many questions, but sometimes you don't dare to ask. These Magi, when they lost, they get lost. They stop by the palace and ask for the direction. Of course, this direction is not very correct, and somehow the king is lying. But they stop by for direction. In your life, a lot of difficulties, and I know each one of you right now, even though the adults have their own worries, but you also have worries too. You also have many difficulties, and we understand that. The only problem we want to ask you is, if you have something, speak it out. Be courageous. Don't be afraid. Be a person, courageous person. Say it. What makes us fear the most is when you don't share that with anyone. Be humble. Ask for direction. Ask when you need help. These magi stop by and ask. And then, next, when they get out of the palace, then the star reappears. Then the star leads them to where? Now you have to know. The star leads them to where? You. Yes. Now the star reappears. I cannot believe that you don't know these stories. It puzzles me. But anyway, after the star reappears, and it leads them to where? Okay, Jessica, your job again. Okay, and behold, the star that they had seen.
And behold, the star that they had seen in its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was.
Stop right here. Read it one more time.
And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. They then opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Is it clear enough? So after the star reappears, it lets them to go where? Huh? To Jesus. See? To the house, and they may just give her a big hand. Sometimes I know in your life, we went through the age you are going through right now. Sometimes in your life, you have questions, you have a moment, you don't know where to turn to. Like at the Magi, sometimes you feel lost. But I tell you, your parents, school, Giuse, các sơ, we all around. You can stop by and ask. The critical thing is, say it. Say it. Speak it out. Don't just hold in your heart. And then, when the star appears, then the star leads them to the house of Jesus. Then they come with a little gift. What is this? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Does Jesus need these gifts? Does Jesus need this gift?
No.
But just an act of kindness, just an act of courtesy, just out of their own kindness, they bring anyway. Do you think Jesus needs you to be in church? Yes or no?
Yes.
I don't think so. Without you, Jesus is fine. That is the church teaching. God does not need us. We need God, not God needs us. Of course, we are important, but not that important. We need God, and that's why we are here. Sometimes we think that God needs us because without me, Jesus cannot survive. God cannot be God. No. God does not need us, but we need God. But if you come, even though Jesus does not need gift, but these people bring some small gift anyway, it's nice if you come to church and bring your own gift, not because Jesus or God needs you. Theologically, no, God does not need us. Why? If I say that God needs you, I can say that, but in a different sense. Because if I say that God needs me, means without me, God cannot be God. That's not the case. God is almighty, all-powerful. Without me, God's still God. But I need God because without God, I cannot survive. So if I come to church, why don't I bring something to God? Very simple. For example, just a gift of being yourself, being joyful, sharing with your friends what you have. I know that you sit here, probably, I don't know how many here, 100 người không anh? Tới không? It's about that. About 80, 70, 80. Now, if 70, 80 of you stand together, I believe you can build up something significantly for the parish. But if each one of you on their own, then you contribute nothing to this parish. So, when you come here, bring a small gift. Oh, by the way, who's in the choir this morning? Raise your hand. Oh, raise high. Wow, give them a big hand. Man. You guys are great. You guys are very good. I tell you, I have a very good impression of all of you here, especially with those who play violin and cello, something in the front. Very good. That is what we are talking about. If you come here, of course, the parish also needs you, but without you, we still survive anyway. But if you understand it deeply, that this parish is also the place where your parents, your grandparents come to worship, then come with a small gift. A little gold, I don't know, frankincense and myrrh. Now, the last point, number 5, it's not here in the reading, but the last point, because it's not there, so I just tell you, the last point is that after they met with Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, then the angel appears. Who knows the story? The angel appears to them, and what did the angel say? Don't go back to him because he might harm Jesus. So take another way home. Perfect. What's your name? Luke? Thank you. Give Luke a big hand. Thank you, Luke. See? At least Luke gives me hope that you guys read the gospel. Huh? So at the end, the angel appears again to the Magi and tell the Magi, don't go back there. Why? Because the King Herod tell you that when you found him, come back and tell me so I can give him homage. That's a lie. Why don't you take another way home? The last point I want you to remember is, I don't care why and how you get here in church, sitting down here. I know some of you rather stay at home and playing game now. I know that. And I know some of you don't want to be here. But I don't care. And I don't know. And I don't care why you're here. But what I care and I know is, don't go back in the same way you walk into this church today. If you remember what I say, then the last point is so critical. After Magi met with Jesus, the angel appears and tells them, don't go back the same way. Take the new way. After you come here and talk to one another, spend a little time as we ready for Christmas. Of course, each one of us carry in our own something. We have many worries. We have something we care for. By the way, did you all finish your final exams or the exam before? Not yet. So when's the final exam? Tomorrow. So I believe you still have a lot of worries, and I understand. But what I ask you to do is, even when you walk in here with the very sad mood, even when you walk in here that you don't like it at all, I don't really care whatever happened. But what I care is, when you walk out, don't be the same like when you walk in. Try to be like a Magi. Try to feel things. Bond together as a group. Make sure when you work together, then some people look at you and know you are the Thomas teens of this parish, for example. Number 2, take a risk. Take a risk to be good. I tell you, this is very easy just to be one of many. If you go to school, just merge in the group and that's it. It's very easy to be one of many. But it takes courage to be good. Even in the group like this, it takes courage to do and to say something we believe it is right. And number 3, as you come to church, bring a little gift. Contribute to the community you are living right now. Not much, but I know that each of you have I was very impressed with the choir already. So I know you have a lot of things to contribute. Number 4, if you get lost, if you have problems, please share. Please talk to someone. Be humble. Some guys think that know it all. Have you ever met someone who we can call that know-it-all person? Anything you say, that person knows. And they always right. They never be wrong. Have you ever met the person like that? Have you? When you grow up, you will see it. And of course, we don't like those people because they know it all. Anything you say, they know. I don't want you to be like that. If you have a problem, if you have something to share, if you think you need help, please stop by. Look at the Magi. They come from afar. They lost the star. They go to the palace. They ask for direction. And that's why they end up in Bethlehem, because they got the direction. And the 5th point, the last point. Please, when you get back home today, do the homework. Call your grandparents. Call your great uncle. Just interview and ask them. For me, ignorance is a sin, because when you live comfortably, at the same time, others suffer. Part of that because you don't know, but you don't know by choice. Not because you don't know that nobody tell you, but now I already tell you. I already tell you, these people take risks to come here for the good future, not their future. They're ready to die, but your future, for your future. In that sense, why not spend 5 minutes to interview them from now until Christmas? And I hope, if you know the story, then the way you walk in here this morning and hear me, probably you don't like that, I bet. But at least when you walk out, and with the story that you know about your grandparents, know how they're here, I hope you will change yourself. In other words, I hope that when you get out of here, you will not be the same like when you get in here. Okay, I stop here for you to have 15 minutes. Any questions or anything I want to share with you that's not clear, or you ask, then I can just talk with you, okay? Great.
Chào cha. Con tên là Tiến.
Thiện, okay.
I have 2 questions for you.
Sure, 2.
I'll ask the first one. The first one's a very dumb question, so hear me out, okay?
No dumb questions.
It's very, very ridiculous. Okay. And I've been scared to ask any priest because it's a very stupid question.
Okay.
So do you know what a zombie is?
A zombie?
Yes.
Okay.
So you know in the movie, they get bit and they kill themselves. Okay. Is it a sin to kill yourself if you get bit by a zombie?
Okay. Okay, that's the first question. What's the second?
My second question is, as a priest, do you think video games cause violence?
Video game is what?
Cause violence?
Could be, but let me answer 2 questions. Very good question. No dumb question there at all. Thank you, the handsome man. Wow, handsome young boy. Here's the 2 questions. One is zombie. Now, let me tell you what it is, the real thing in theology, in our faith, and what is not, okay? In our faith and theology, we believe in the existence of ghosts, of course. We believe in spirit, the dead spirit, of course. But those things is real. Now, have you ever heard of the word, what is a novel coming from what we call the Poland today? Makarom, it was the name of that English, huh? Dracula. Have you ever heard the name of Dracula? Dracula, basically a novel come out of about 18th century. And it's a novel talking about what we call the dead spirit or ghost. But they somehow Not only they make it fictional, but they try to imagine to make Dracula as a person. They personify that. So the Dracula goes around and bites people at the neck, suck out the blood, and with the blood, the Dracula can live. This is fictional. This is not real. Zombie is also another fictional character. It comes from that. And they believe that zombie cannot, and sometimes in the movie, you see that zombie walk around, people shoot them, they don't die, but if the bigger gun, like a, I don't know, bigger one, they'll shoot them and they die. If you spirit, nothing can kill you that way. But anyway, to answer your question, number one, zombie is a fictional, it's not real. So there's no such things as a zombie come and bite you and suck the blood out of you and you die. No such thing. Therefore, no answer for it because this is fictional. Number two, but a good question. Number two, is video games cause violence? Yes and no. Here is why it yes. For those who study psychology, we know that the environment where you live, things that you do, friends that you associate with, materials that you read, books that you read, pictures that you see, these things form in you image and thoughts. You transfer image and thoughts into your words and action. So if you live in the environment where only we talk about God and the Bible and things, then you breathe in, breathe out with that, then somehow when you talk, when you behave, it's very much like that. If you live in the environment when they talked about violence or something else, whatever, if you live with teens, for example, you act like teen. If you live in an environment of Vietnamese, you act like a Vietnamese because they breathe in, breathe out, they eat, they walk. If you live with Americans, many of you, then you act like Americans. So no question that things around you affect you. No question about that. Now, go to video game. A lot of video games are very violent. And that's why even the government tried to limit. Because of our own freedom, we can play. But because of educational purpose, they know that these are violence. If kids, they play along with, they're familiar with violence so long. So when they go out and commit a violent act, many of them don't know the difference. And that's why you ask me, does a video game cause violence? Yes, because of the violence in the video game affect your mind, affect the way you behave, and it somehow you transfer from your image and thought into action. But no, at the same time, no, why? Because a video game is a video game. So if you are the one who knows, you control it, you play it for 5 minutes, for example, shoot, and that's it, you don't play anymore, you don't let video game control you, then in that sense, it does not cause violence. The video game by itself does not cause violence because just only a form of entertainment. So, at your age, if you ask me that video game causes violence, I agree. Because I believe at your age, you don't know how to control. And like that, you may be affected and you don't even know. Some kids. By the way, I worked in the juvenile hall for 2 years before I was ordained as a priest. Juvenile halls, they hold kids under 16. Some of them go out and shoot people at young age. They don't know the difference. Why? Because in the video game, they shot people very often. So watch out, okay? Good question, Thiện. What else? Great. Maybe Thiện again, I can see him. No? Say your name.
I'm Nam.
Yap, huh?
Nam.
Nam.
in times of war, a priest is forced to go into the army and they kill someone, do they lose that? Because since priests are usually supposed to save people, do they lose their right of being a priest in the Catholic Church?
Here's a good question. See, you guys very smart. I don't know how many smart people sit in here, but I know many quiet people sit in here. Nam, it's a very good question. I don't know that. Can you repeat the question? Because if you understand the question, then you understand half of what he wanted to ask, half the answer. Do you hear the question? Want you to repeat that for me?
If a priest goes into the army and during a war, and they kill someone, do they lose their right to become a priest?
Okay. Excellent. Let me give you the answer. Two things. First, in all nations now, in the army, we have a priest serving them. We call chaplain. And the chaplain priests in all the army, they don't have guns. They have a little cross here and there. And wherever they go, they don't, by law. And this law, we call Geneva Law 1957. So 1947. Geneva Law allowed the country to provide the spiritual leaders, not only Catholic priests, but also Buddhist monk, also the imam for the Muslims. So these spiritual leaders, if they serve army or serve as soldiers, by law, by Geneva law, they cannot possess any weapon. And with the mark that they have, all people, when these people arrest them, they know these people are chaplain. So these people go to war or anywhere to serve soldiers. They don't have weapon, period. So you get the first point? Okay. Number two, what if a priest, not the chaplain, but he was a draft and put there as a soldier? That's his question, right? So as a soldier, he has a gun, and he has to shoot. Because if people come to shoot him, he has to shoot back. The answer is, yes, he can. And here is why. The Catholic Church allows us to have what we call justifiable war. In other words, we can declare war if needed. But to fulfill the justifiable war, we have to have a few conditions. For example, if we declare war against, I make it up, you know Costa Rica, the country? You know where it is? Where? Central America. You know how many people they have, the population? About less than 3 million. Okay. I make it up. Okay, I make it up. If the country called Costa Rica declare war to fight against United States of America, right now, I'm talking right now, in the situation, they have only one airport, no navy, no nuclear weapon, whatever. Let me ask you, according to you, the chance to win is how big is that, according to you? From 0 to 100. You think that they can win 75%? War, I'm talking about Costa Rica declare war against the United States of America. If the chance to win, and I make it from 0 to 100, how much? 25. From you? 5. You? 4. I give a 0. I mean, it's impossible. 3 million, probably less than dollars. And they have nothing. And look at, I mean, be real. You know what I'm talking about. Be real. So the church allows us to declare war, to defend ourselves. Because what if our country, that somebody just come and invade us? So we have a right to defend ourselves. But to justify our war, here's a few conditions. Number one, we have to use it as the last resource. This is like the last thing that we do after we have a diplomatic solution, talk, everything else. In other words, we run out of options. That's number one. Number 2, the harm, the damage that we create must be, if we declare war, it must be more or less the same or less than what the country invade us, they cause. In other words, if we declare war, then we may bomb them, we kill them, but the damage is not bigger than if we don't declare war. That's number 2. Number 3, if we think that we have a chance to win, at least 50%. Because if you just declare war out of your anger, my God, I don't like the United States of America, so we declare war. And you know what happened if Costa Rica declared war to fight against the U.S.? Within 1 hour, the whole country will be wiped out. Look at, because of a group of politicians declare war, then all people died. That's unjust. And you know that in advance you cannot win. So why do it? So the third point is you have to know that you have a chance to win. And the last point is that war must be declared in the level of the whole nation or the representative of the nation, not just only 1 or 2 persons. So in that case, I tell you that if I'm a priest and if I live in the U.S., for example, or live in Canada or somewhere, and another country, I make it in Vietnam right now. What if China someday come and invade Vietnam, and the Vietnamese government draft those priests to be soldiers? Then I can tell you they have a right to defend themselves. That means if they shoot someone, that is justifiable. Is it clear enough? Of course, we do not like war, but we accept it in case defense. So we don't allow them to come and just fight or slap us. We have to defend ourselves. And because of that, I just open a little bit more. What's your name? Huh? Brendan. What if somebody, I just make it up, I'm talking about a little older. What if somebody jumped into your house, put the gun in your mom's head and another gun in your sister's heart, ready to shoot, and ask you, if you have a knife in your hands, do you kill that boy? The one who come just put the gun in your mom's hand? Of course you have a right. That is what we call defense. Because Brendan, he's not the one who looking out to kill the other boy. But if the boy come into his house and put the gun in his mom's head or is ready to kill his sisters, then he has a right to defend, and that is acceptable. Clear enough? Good. Now, thank you. Thank you for being here, and let me remind you this. I hope you remember the image of the Magi. They go looking for the newborn king. Only thing I want you to remember, don't remember much, is you also looking for the newborn king. You're looking for something that you lack in your own heart. When you do that, please go together as a group. Be humble. Ask for questions if needed. Take a risk to be good. And try to bring the small gift you have to the parish. Try to participate. Like in a few minutes, we have the holy hour now. Please pray for a few minutes for your parents, great-grandparents. And the homework I asked you, if possible, do it in 5 minutes. And the last thing, please do not get out of here as the same as you walk in. Please walk out by different way, by different person. Okay? So thank you, and ready to stay here for a few minutes of the benediction. Okay?